hard sometimes. Okay, here we go. Welcome. So today we're going to talk about probably my favorite topic. This has been like, I've been like the Paul Revere of this concept to all the companies that I work with. But before I get into all that, I just want to say like, thank you to anybody who's been watching these videos. I post them on LinkedIn and on Facebook. And at the end of the day, the objective is to help people understand like the complexities of a salesperson. Really, like I've done sales pretty much my entire career, and a lot of people think of us as like almost brutes. I remember we were at Nozani doing agency sales, and we were in like this side room at the end of this big office, and there were probably 6 of us in there. And every time that we would get a sale, we would hit this gong and have like walkout music, and everybody would freak out and everything. And it was a super blast. But the whole rest of the team was like sometimes pretty bothered by that. And like, you send a sale over to the fulfillment side, and then like there's a problem, expectations aren't as good. And so like everybody like, they seem to have this perception of salespeople that they are just a bunch of bros, right? There's this stigma associated with it. But at the end of the day, here are all these, normal human beings who are in a position that is stressful, right? It gets paid the most typically in an organization simply because it's hard, right? It's one of those things that it takes I think a special kind of person to do it. Now, I do believe that anybody can learn sales. I believe that if you follow the process, if you trust the process, that you can crush it and have a great career, and like you can get over your shyness. I've seen super shy people succeed. And so like, I don't want to say that like they're, any different than anybody else, but they're putting in the time, right? They're putting in the work, they're on the grind, and they're making it happen in a situation where they're going to face a lot of disappointment. And so this is the most important thing that I could ever give as advice to a salesperson. Okay. And that is that if you look at your conversion rate on any of your sales, so if you use a CRM, luckily you can check this out, right? Like in HubSpot, they have tracking from stage to stage, how many people move from discovery to proposal, from proposal to contract, and from contract to close. And each of those stages is really important. So like statistically, a little over half of everybody is going to go from discovery to proposal. You say, hey, like, let's get on another call. Let's go through the proposal. Whether or not those people actually keep those appointments, right? That's another story. And it depends on how good the salesperson is at their craft. But moving from like proposal to contract, right? That's my personal, if I can get people into contract stage, right? And get them on the phone, looking at the contract with me, I can usually close like, 60-70% of those people. Now, in the grand scheme of things, though, a typical, if you look at your conversion rate on all deals, the typical conversion rate is like 25%. And there's some people who are higher, there's some people who are lower. If you have a 50% conversion rate, like congratulations, you are winning the game. If you have a 100% conversion rate, like you are God and should take over this whole YouTube channel for me. But that's pretty typical, right? 25% core performance. Some people are even less, right? If it's higher ticket items, they got to go through a whole bunch of deals in order to get that one close. And it might take them a whole year to close, a $20 million deal. But that means they had to rifle through, 100 other deals. So they only have a 1% conversion rate anyway. So let's just stick with the average, 25%. A lot of people focus on that number quite a bit. Okay, what's my conversion rate? How can we improve that, right? Sales leaders are always really focused on that. But what they forget is that also means if you have a 25% rate, that you have a 75% failure rate, right? 75% of the time you're experiencing disappointment. And some people are better at others at talking to their teams about this, but there's been this explosion of mental health awareness in all industries. And I feel like there's something missing in sales. I have had colleagues and friends who have committed suicide because the stress of sales was just way too much. CEOs, right? Very, very common for CEOs to experience depression and anxiety. And a lot of that stems from these transactions that they're like, a lot of the time they're betting the farm on it, right? Like, I got to get this sale. This is going to help my business. This is going to help me make payroll. And so like, when they experience that disappointment, they sit in it. They're at their computer. Let's say that they get off of a call, a regular salesperson, they get off a call, and the person just told them, hey, like, we went with another company, and, I'm so sorry. And, you're thinking through, okay, how can I sweeten this deal? And you negotiate, and you try, and you try, and you try. You throw all your tactics at them. You stay calm, right? You're professional, and you say, hey, I completely understand that it's not a good fit at this time. Would love to reach out down the road, whatever your script is. And then you hang up that Zoom or Google Meet call, and you're going to sit there. Most people, I see it happen all the time. They hit their fists on the table, they yell, they get mad. But every single one of them typically stays right here. Some people will like get up in a fit of rage, but they usually just sit here and they think, oh, like, what did I do wrong? Why am I not able to close deals? If it was a particularly rough month, they have this cycle that they get into. And I only know this because I've done this, right? Like, I lose, let's say that I'm having a crappy month, and I had a great deal that was perfect, dude. And then they're just like, we don't have any inventory. That's a big non-starter for a lot of the companies that I work with. It's just like, hey, like, my stuff is stuck at the ports, or, we had to allocate this inventory to one of our dealers that works with retail. And on those, I'm like, great, congratulations. Like, okay, we'll pick this up a couple months down the road. When should we reach out? Let's set up a time. But in that moment, right, where you lose the deal and you're already having a crappy month, I'll sit there and I just keep thinking of all the reasons why I have had a bad month. And I think like, oh, I'm not good at this. Oh, I'm doing this wrong. I need to fix all my processes. Like, something's wrong with my personality. And I've gotten to the point now where I don't take too much personally with these sales calls, but you ask anybody, all salespeople take things a little bit personally, right? Like, you're so tied, to getting an emotional connection with these people and, helping them know that you understand their business and their problems. And so, you're putting yourself out there, and you watch a good salesperson, they're passionate. They're sometimes a little bit loud. They've got a certain type of personality. Again, like, I don't want to generalize too much, but at the end of the day, they are, they typically get emotionally attached to these deals. So if 75% of the time you are failing, right, you're losing sales, and you're even a little bit emotionally attached to them, it's going to wreck you. It's going to completely destroy you. Your mental health is not going to be in a good place. You are going to struggle, and it's going to be tough for you to stay on the grind. And this is especially true for like setters, people who are new. They're trying to like build up a pipeline, or like a closer that's just trying to fill their pipeline, and they want as many people as possible. So they're just burning the phone, right? They're doing cold calls. They're not getting a lot of referrals from their organization. And so, here they are at home, and they do, 100 calls, and, if no one answers, like, good night, what a nightmare. And then let's say that, you connect with like 5 or 10 people, and out of those 5 or 10 people, none of them sets an appointment with you, and they like yell at you, or they're like, quit cold calling me. Like, you're so, some people are really mean. I don't know. Hopefully this doesn't describe you, but people will like cuss off of a cold call. I think COVID has kind of leveled that playing field. Most people are pretty starved for human interaction. So sometimes a phone call is nice, and they're willing to take it with you, but for the most part, it's like, oh, like, call me tomorrow, I don't want to talk right now. And so in those moments when you are when you're failing, that's the whole point of this video, is what do I recommend? What has helped for me, and what has helped for all of the different professionals that I work with in this space, especially the CEOs, right? This is because they're typically really close to the sales side of things. When you fail, right, because fail you will, you need 2 things. You need a plan, and you need a person, right? So what do I mean by plan? My plan, whenever I lose, whenever it's like very clear that like, shit, I lost this deal. You know what I mean? Like, I put my best foot forward and it didn't work out, right? Like, this goes in the bucket of closed lost. Reason being, lost to competitor, price not good, right? Any number of whatever. So my plan is, number one, most important thing, it should be a part of everybody's plan, is to get up and get the hell out of the room. Get away from your computer. Get away from this fake metaverse that we live in where we're just pushing buttons and making money. Like, flee as quickly as possible from the computer. There's quite a bit of research around like how you chunk your meetings. And so you got to make sure that you give yourself 15 minutes between every single appointment that you have. Don't, like, you can set that in your calendar settings, and most CRMs are in like Calendly. And so make sure that you set that cushion, because if you have back-to-back meetings and you keep getting back-to-back failures or disappointments or delays, you're going to get to the point where you are mentally unstable, right? That's going to be the end goal. And a lot of people, like macho, they just want to try to deal with it. It's like, oh, it's a part of sales. Like, I'm a big boy, I can handle this. But at the end of the day, like, you are just a whole bunch of neurons firing in your brain all the time. And it would be hard for anybody to assume that they are able to deal with the stress of losing 3/4 of the time. It's just not possible. So for me, my plan is I get up and I go on a longboard ride. And that's it. I get on my longboard and I just go around the neighborhood. I go up. There's like a hill that I like to bomb. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I just get on the longboard and I just rip on that thing for, like 10 minutes. Sometimes it's just like literally around the block. It takes me 2 minutes to get there. But then once I get back into the driver's seat, my head is clear. I'm thinking about other things. Sometimes on the longboard ride, like I'm rehearsing what went wrong with the call. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that. I would try to like distract yourself. And that's where number 2 comes in. You need a plan and you need a person. So if you're married, I would not recommend that you talk to your spouse. Because especially in like, there's certain relationship dichotomies where if you introduce your work stress to your spouse, they often will feel threatened, right? They're going to think, oh, like, I have to work harder. I have to make more money. We're unstable. We need more stable income. You're in sales. They get the commission game, right? They're married to you. They know who you are. They get it. I wouldn't bring it up with them. You might, in a really super controlled environment, couples therapy, or like a weekly, sync up, you could sit down and talk with them and just say, like, I had a really rough week and I'm having a rough month. But in that moment where you lose, don't go talk to them. They're not your person. We love them. They're our favorite people ever. We choose to spend our life with them, but that's not the person. Your person also probably shouldn't be somebody at your company, because there's just a little bit of bias in there, and I don't know. It gets weird and complicated. And I personally, like, I want to be viewed as somebody who can handle it and is an expert. I think it's important to be vulnerable with them at times, but they're carrying their own load. I don't really want to put that on them. I also, like, I don't want to talk to an account manager and talk about losing, because then, like, they're going to think that I lose. So a bit of that's perception. I wouldn't talk to somebody on your team. I would choose a friend, a best friend, or even just like a colleague that's in the same industry. So for me, I've got 2 people that I typically reach out to. They are salespeople. They do software. Well, I guess one of them is not a salesperson anymore. But I reach out to them. I call them, I FaceTime them, I text them, and I get on that phone, man. And sometimes I'm like, God damn, like this, like, I tell them about the deal. And these are not, so this is what works for me personally, like my people. They don't tell me that, like, oh, like, that's bad of them, like they should have gone with you. Like, I can't believe that. Not really empathy. No, I don't need empathy in that moment. They typically are telling me, like, you lose some, you know what I mean? Like, get over it. You'll be fine. Have you done your plan? Right? They know I'm big on this plan. And so they usually smack some sense into me, which is precisely what I need. Now, some people need the empathy, right? They need someone just to listen. If that's you, that's great. That's personally not me. I need somebody to give me a backhand and get me reset on the day. So for anybody who's in sales or close to sales, or even, like, this applies to like people doing account management and fulfillment and accounting. when you fail, right, you need a plan and you need a person. And so good luck. I hope that you have an absolutely rich and fulfilling day. I hope that you win more frequently this month. I hope this is your best month ever. I hope that everybody around you is invigorated by the stimulation of positive mental health that you bring into the workplace. I hope that you smile more. I hope that you are treating yourself right. Like a lot of people, they're like, oh, I don't deserve like to go get a coffee, you know, from my favorite place. I don't deserve to go get a snack. Screw that. Do whatever you want. You are a human that, you know, like you are infinitely capable, and you deserve anything that you desire in that moment. Like, don't let that dark side of you say that you don't deserve something. Go and treat yourself if that's a part of your plan. Do something that makes you feel good. If you need to go and meditate, go and do that. If you need to, you know, go get a haircut, right? Like treat yourself, groom yourself, make sure that you have that plan in place. And I wish you good luck.